Well, some people know me for soldiers' own private photographs in the First World War. It's a hobby, it's a fascination of mine that I've had for many, many years. And recently I bought this particular album. It's belonged to an unknown NCO of the London Rifle Brigade. And it's an album that includes photographs from embarkation through to about the middle of 1915. In 1914, there was no prohibition on officers and men taking cameras to the front. It certainly wasn't encouraged, but it wasn't prohibited. The problem came that there were no embedded photojournalists, as we would now imagine them to be, in the BEF. In fact, they didn't arrive. There were no official photographers until 1916 on the Western Front. And so all the pictures we see today of 1914, 1915 are almost invariably taken by the soldiers themselves, usually officers who took their cameras to the war thinking, well, this is going to be a jolly jape. We're over there. It's our first time perhaps overseas, certainly on active service. Let's take our camera with them. And the problem came that the British press was starved of photographs. They had no means of getting pictures. So what they used to do is they used to get an artist who would draw a picture just off the top of their heads of what they thought might have happened in a particular action. But there was nothing like the original the actual photograph of events of 1914. So these newspapers were very willing, once they got aware of it, once they became aware of private photography, to offer quite considerable sums for the very best photographs to appear in their newspapers. And by Christmas 1914, the army became aware of these pictures. They started to appear from about late October, early November in national newspapers. And the army said, we've got to clamp down on this. This is not going to work. So about 3 days prior to Christmas Day of 1914, they actually sent out an order banning cameras. And luckily for us, of course, for posterity, that ban was, although it had come into effect, was irrelevant for the troops that were in the line on Christmas Day 1914. Now, one of the battalions that was in the line that day was the London Rifle Brigade. And although there are no pictures of the Christmas Truce taken by this individual, by this unknown NCO, there is a single photograph which I came across at the back. So when I went through this album looking at all the various pictures, I came to the back and there was one single photograph. Now, it was taken possibly by Rifleman Grigg of the London Rifle Brigade. His particular album of photographs was made famous in this book. I'm going to show it to you now. Christmas Truce by Malcolm Brown and Shirley Seaton. This really put the Christmas Truce on the map in terms of our generation. And in fact, this one is signed by one of those who took part in the truce, a man called Frank Sumter. Now, Grigg's photographs appear in this book, but this is an additional one. Why is it not in this book? Because actually it's not very good quality. But you can see Grigg in the photographs. I assume he may have handed the camera to somebody else, said, look, I'm with these German guys, can you take this photograph? And somehow, at some point, he has given this photograph to the owner of this particular album, this unknown NCO, and it just appears in the back in a number of assorted pictures. But it's just that little piece of history, another image of the Christmas Truce of 1914 that is just so special, and which really, if it had not been for private photography, that Christmas Truce would be almost unknown. So this is just another little piece of evidence of that incredible day 110 years ago.